What's up, inhabitants of Penguin Village? This is your resident Dr. Simbe Norimaki, otherwise known as Dr. Slump, and I'm here to bring you another video review of Dragon Ball Kai. This is going to be episode 102. Wow, this week's episode was a very funny episode, to say the least. Had a lot of comedic moments and a lot of character interaction, which I really dug about this episode. A nice change of pace from just pure action. So with that being said, let's go into the full review. We get into this episode and we continue from where we left off, where Gohan is training Videl in the art of flying. And Videl is learning rather quickly. She's learning very quickly, in fact. And this is rather surprising considering that she is really just a human. She has really never shown any superhuman feats, so this is rather surprising that she's able to learn this fast. And Gohan is commenting on this to her. In this episode, she is learning to fly rather fast and floating in the air, and Gohan's really encouraging her sincerely, saying that she's learning very fast. And as soon as he says this, Goten goes blazing by Videl like a jet plane and just starts zipping through the air, and Videl is like, how long is it going to be before I can fly as fast as he is? And Gohan's like, well, I have no idea. And Videl's like, well, I'm not going to stop until I can fly as fast as he is. And Gohan's like, well, yeah, let me go talk to him for a second. And he goes up to like, Goten, stop, slow down. And he's like, why? And Gohan's like, because we have to make it look believable that she's making enough progress so she'll leave us alone and that we'll be able to get to our real training. And Goten's like, okay. And Gohan comes back down to talk with Videl, and Videl's like, what was that? And he says, oh, nothing, just a little bit of friendly advice. And she says, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. My father would flip if he knew I was at a boy's house. And he asks, you haven't told him about this? And he's like, and she is like, no, I haven't told him about this. He'd flip if I knew I was at a boy's house. Plus, I want to surprise him at the tournament. He's so annoying. I can't believe that he won't let me go with any boys. And she comments how she is not able to out with any boys because she won't be allowed to go with that said boy unless he is proven to be stronger than Hercule. And that's never going to happen because Hercule is the strongest man in the world, as she starts to comment. And Gohan's like, oh, yeah. By the way, Videl, has he ever trained you before? And she's like, oh, no way. This is just all self-taught. And he's like, I knew it. She is never trained by Hercule because Hercule knows that she's actually stronger than he is. And they continue their conversation about, by the way, Gohan, Videl inquires, where did you learn your martial arts from? And he's like, oh, I learned it from my dad before he passed away. And she's like, oh, okay. And Goten comes back down and says, yeah, my father's coming back to the Tenkaichi Budokai. He's coming back from the dead, but only for one day, though. And Videl's like, what? Coming back from the dead? And Gohan's like, you idiot, Goten. I told you not to tell anybody. And he's like, oh, I forgot. And Videl's like, wait a minute. You don't mean that he was dead. You mean that he's coming back and you didn't tell your mother. I get it. It's a secret. Wow, our fathers are really something, huh? And Gohan's like, yeah, we'll go with that explanation. And we jump into the next scene where Videl is actually learning how to fly rather quickly. And in just 10 days, she masters the art of flying and leaves Gohan and Goten to go about their regular training. And we jump into the scenes where the rest of the Z Warriors are training for this action, and the montage ends with Goku on the tall mountain peak where he's meditating, and he's like, yeah, I'm ready to go, it's time to fight. And it's a really cool moment. And the next thing we know, we get into the scene where Bulma is flying all the Z Warriors and the crew, Master Roshi, the Ox King, and Yamcha. Yamcha is on the plane, and he's not competing in the tournament, so basically his role has been diminished in this arc. to basically a support character. He's really just nothing but a support character this time. He's not going to fight at all, and he's not going to give any exposition. He's basically been reduced to a small role, which is rather good because Yamcha has always been used as a plot device to basically further the story and the plot. So it's a good thing that he's been taken out of this formula that he's been put in. So yeah, we get back to the scene. Back to the scene. We get to where Bulma is talking to Gohan about how is Goku really coming back, and he's like, yeah, as far as I know. And he tells Krillin that Gohan tells Krillin that he won't be able to. Goku won't be able to recognize Krillin thanks to all the hair that he's grown. And Krillin is saying, yeah, yeah, he it won't be able to recognize me. And he Gohan immediately tells Vegeta, Goten, and Trunks, like, you guys cannot turn Super Saiyan because this will cause an uproar and everybody will know who we are thanks to the Cell Games footage. And Vegeta, resisting at first, is like, I guess I'll do it. I'll win anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And Goten and Trunks agree to this. So yeah, no Super Saiyan forms in the tournament. Boo hoo. So so we get into the next scene where Krillin is leading the crew, and they're walking down the tournament, and we get to see Hercule being interviewed by the news crew, and he's like, "Yeah, Hercule's in the house, baby," and he is basically talking to the news crew, and the news crew is like, how much of a chance do you think you're going to be able to win this tournament? And he's like, well, I think it's safe to say that I have a 120% chance of winning this tournament. Ha ha! And yeah, Hercule's boasting like a fool. So we get back into the scene where Krillin is like, hey, it's Piccolo. And we get into the scene where Gohan asks Piccolo, "Oh gosh, is you're here? Is my father here too?" And Piccolo's like, "No, I haven't seen him." And as soon as he says that, Goku comes into the fray. Goku comes into the scene, and we see that Goku has not changed a bit. He is exactly the same as he was when we last left him in the Cell Saga. So he's accompanied by Baba, and everybody's so happy to see him. We're just ecstatic to see him. Everybody's crying, and he's just like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And they all rush to him like, "Goku!" And they start hugging on him, and they have a nice little reunion. And Goku notices Goten, and Goten hides from him, and he's like, "Who is that behind you?" And Chi-Chi's like, "Goten, that's your father. Say hi." And they start to have their little reunion where Goten goes to Goku, and they have this little basic father son moment, and it's not really a reunion actually. Now that I think about it, it's a meeting. It's their first meeting, and it's really something to see their father son moment in this episode. It's really touching to see that Goku has another son and that he's able to meet him, and that the tragedy that we thought would be in the first episode where Goten had basically never known Goku is really just negated here, where he can meet Goku and get to know his father for a day. Not really the father-son relationship every kid wants, but you can take what you get, especially with Goku as a father. But yeah, so we get into the next scene where Goku and crew are talking, and they're having their nice little reunion chat where Goku's like, "Did you have hair before, Krillin?" He's like, "Nope, I told you I shaved before, didn't I?" And Trunks and Goten are talking, and he's like, "So that's your dad, huh? I wonder how it would compare with my dad." And Goten's like, "Well, my brother says he's the strongest in the universe." So we we get into the next scene where Krillin and Goku are talking, and Android 18 walks by, and Goku's like, Android 18, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "It took you long enough to notice, huh?" So Krillin comments on how they're basically a couple now, and that they even have a kid together. And Goku's like, "What? You have a kid together? How can you have a kid with a robot?" And he's like, she's a cyborg, not a robot. He's like, oh, okay. So we get into the next scene where Goku and crew are walking towards the tournament registration, and they're being approached by the camera crew, and the camera crew asks them, "Well, where are you from? Where did you get that weird accessory on your head?" And Goku tells them that he's dead, and that he is basically gotten that halo from the afterlife, and he and he says this with no reservation. And the camera crew's like, okay. And Piccolo looks at the camera and he destroys it. And we see this throughout the episode where Piccolo is destroying these cameras basically so Gohan won't have his identity revealed, and that his identity will remain intact no matter how powerful he looks in the tournament. And he thanks Piccolo for this in the episode. So we get into the registration part where Goku and crew are registering, and much to Goten and Trunks' dismay, they're not able to compete with the adults. They have to compete in the junior division. So yeah, too bad for Goten and Trunks. So we get into the gear up scene after this, and Krillin is saying like he feels sorry for the other guys. All they have to worry about are each other. That's basically the main competition. So after this, we get into the scene where we are reintroduced, tongue twister. We are reintroduced to the tournament announcer. We are reintroduced to him in this arc, and he's basically happy to see Goku and his crew after all of this time, and they are surprised to see him too. They're happy. They have this nice little reunion, and he says, "These tournaments have been so bland. I'm happy you're back." And he's like, "By the way, what is that thing above your head?" He's like, "Oh, this is a halo. I'm dead." And the tournament announcer's like, "Ah, well, if you're dead, you're dead. I'll believe anything from you guys." And he says, "Good luck in the tournament," and he wishes them well. And we get into the scene where this short, stubby, fat guy starts announcing that they're going to start the prelims. However, breaking tournament tradition that we've seen in the Dragon Ball series, they're going to have a punching machine that allows them to test their strength, so they can have the best 15 combatants, including Hercule, compete in the tournament. So yeah, they do this and they bring out the punching machine for everybody to see, and they have Hercule test it out, and he's boasting and he's like, "Whoa," like the mocking generic kung fu pose, and he punches the machine as hard as he can, veins popping out of his head, and he has a 137. And apparently that's great. Oh, he has a 137. Oh. And Hercule's winded after this, and he's like, "Well, good luck to you guys. See if you can top that." And they get into this little line and they start punching. And before we know it, it's Android 18's turn. And Krillin says, "Android 18, remember, don't don't punch it as hard as you can. We don't want anybody knowing our true power." And she's like, "I know." And she just basically taps the machine, and it says 774. 774. And everybody's in shock. And he's like, let's see if we can fix the machine." And Krillin's like, "I told you to take it easy." And she's like, "It's not my fault these guys are weaklings. It's hard to control." And the tournament, uh, the tournament moderator, the fat person, the fat guy that is basically moderating this punching machine test, is telling her, "Oh, you can go on now. You can do this. It's fixed now." And she taps the machine again, and it's 203. And they keep going, and everybody in the Z Warrior crew is in the high 100s, and or even the low 200s. With Piccolo and 18, they basically tap the machine, and their readings are 203, 2010. So it's really funny to see how weak these guys really are. And Vegeta's up, and he's like, "Step aside," and he's like, "Bang!" and it breaks the machine. And it's safe to say that they're all qualified for the tournament. So yeah, that's basically the end of this episode. I want to thank you guys again for watching this week's episode review. Like, favorite, subscribe if you wish, and comment down below. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Did you like the comedy? Did you not like the comedy? Let me know. And this was Dr. Slump, here to bring you another video review of Dragon Ball Kai, episode 102. And I would like to thank you once again, and peace. Have a slumpalicious day.